Welcome back to my channel. I have been wanting to do a check-in with you all for so long, and I wanted to just bring back these like end of the bed little videos, and I'm also filming vlogs for you, which I'm really excited about because I want to invite you into our world a little bit more, because my family brings me so much joy and I feel like there's so much that I can share with you that I haven't been. So thank you for being here, and hopefully we get some new faces here as well, so hi to you. But today I have to fill you in because I've been struggling with a bunch of kind of personal stuff and actually finance, which is something again I want to be really open about because I just feel like not enough people talk about it, and yet I'm experiencing it being one of the most stressful things I've ever gone through for me and my family. And I hope that the mistakes I've made or the failures I've had, or just being open and honest about how I'm dealing with it, could maybe help you or just make you feel less alone, because we're just shown like everyone's success and the road to success, or like there's so many obstacles on the way. And so I think it's so important to just be really vulnerable and share those bits too. So yeah, as you know, I have two brands. I have Soltaire, the body care brand, and it's in Target and it's crushing it. Like, I cannot complain. In fact, I could almost complain that it's doing so well. We constantly have out of stock issues, which I feel like some people thought were intentional because it looked good to sell out. But trust me, no brand wants to sell out, because you literally have people that want to buy your product and you literally just can't make it fast enough, especially when you have high quality skincare ingredients and our components are sustainable. It just takes a little bit longer. And then I have another brand called Self-Funding. Both of these brands I started like right at the beginning of the pandemic, at a time when I just recently lost my area contract, which at the time, like, I was so upset. I cried for weeks and I just didn't see it coming, even though it was a pandemic and it made sense that I can't shoot for them, I can't be on the road. I used to do 50 to 60 days a year touring with Aerie, speaking at colleges, speaking at malls, and you can do that during the pandemic, so why are they going to pay me for a job I can't do? I just didn't expect it, because they always told me we were family and that there was no Aerie reel without me. So I think I was just shocked that I was a brand new mom during the pandemic and then all of a sudden I'd lost my job. But I think many of you watching that probably relate to that, because moms were the number 1% of the population to actually lose their jobs during the pandemic. So that caused a lot of financial stress for a lot of people. But simultaneously, and I guess I don't want to talk too much about Philip's business, but he lost his job during COVID too. So he got made redundant and he started filing for like unemployment. And then at his artist, and he was managing Tory Lanez, obviously he had to stop working with him because of everything that went down with Megan Thee Stallion. That's another video for another time. But it was like simultaneously we were both like, oh crap, what are we gonna do now? Luckily I had savings, and this is why I really advocate for you all to have an emergency fund, and ideally to be putting away around 20% of everything into some kind of savings account, or account that you can quickly make liquid if you do run out of cash. So anyway, I had this savings and I decided to start my brands, and I found a business partner to help me launch Soltaire, and he had capital and he had the infrastructure, so I didn't have to suddenly hire a bunch of people myself. I had one girl working for me and then I hired another one, and I learned a lot, obviously, and I'm still learning a lot from both of those businesses. But previous to the pandemic, it was during the pandemic as well. Oh my gosh, this is just so typically me. I say yes to everything, and I'm such a huge risk taker, to the point where like I don't think many people around me can understand that like my whole career was based on the biggest risk ever, which was being in the UK, having the stability of friends, family, even like a boyfriend at the time. And I left everyone and everything, and I saved $15,000 and I moved to the US knowing nobody. I figured it out, and I feel like what I've built and the career that I made has been insane, like bigger than my wildest dreams. So that like proved to me that the biggest risks give you the biggest rewards. But it also means now I'm realizing it's not just me. You know, my child depends on me, Philip depends on me, security, right, and stability. And I think moms have always been seen as those like stable figures in at home, and I'm just this like really ambitious, risk-taking, crazy ass Virgo person who feel like I know better than everyone, and sometimes I don't. And so I bought a home in 2021, June of 2021, and it was 35 years old. And you know, if you follow me for a long time, you know I'm obsessed with home renovation. This is the 4th home I've purchased since the age of 27. That's when I started buying houses and like renovating them on different scales. Some of them were like bigger renovations, some of them were just like a little bit cosmetic, and I've like made a tiny bit on 2 and made a lot of money on 1 of them. And so this one, I decided it was going to be our forever home. I was like, I'm going to design this home. I briefly had an architect and a designer, and I literally fired him because he wasn't moving quick enough. I knew exactly what I wanted and ended up drawing the whole plans myself and picking out everything for this home. So I was very emotionally invested. I brought in a contractor, having bid 5 contractors, who felt like he had the same passion as me. Like, he was on my level of energy. He was like, I'm gonna start tomorrow. This is the best job ever. Like, this, I can see the vision. And like, that spoke to me as that like very like passionate, let's get this done person. And the other contractors that bid were, you know, probably more established. Some of them were like kind of the most reputable in Austin. So A, it was like 3 times what this guy had quoted. And B, they were like, oh, we probably will start in like a year. And I was like, I'm not gonna sit here for a year with this house that like I want to live in and I want to do up and I have all these ideas and I'm like ready to go. And it's the pandemic. I felt like there was really not as much else going on. So I was like, this is now, I want to go. So I decided to go forward with him. I also went forward with him because as I run these businesses, me and my mom, actually, she's amazing. She helps me distribute and manufacture over abroad and bring things in. I'm making that sound small, but it's honestly really challenging and really tricky to find manufacturers in places like China, have a relationship with them, and then create your goods, design them and import them, and deal with like getting the factory to send them to the dock in China, getting the right people to put them on the right boat, hire the shipping container, either do it so it's like a total load or like part of someone else's load and share and split the load, and then get that over on the boat, which takes about 6 weeks to a port. And at the port, people in the US have to go through every single item, make sure that you got all your paperwork right, check the items and that they're legal items to bring into the US, then charge you whatever their import tax is, and then you have to get someone to then put them on a truck to actually get them to the location. Then you have to hire all the people and the crew and the equipment to then get these huge big items. I'm talking like multiple staircases, 40 internal wood doors, 8 toilets, vanities, off of the truck with cranes and lifts and all that stuff and into the home. So this has been a huge project. My mom's almost been working like full-time on it for like 6 months, and this contractor that I went with, he was one of the only contractors that was kind of okay with this, because most contractors have their local normal people who they work with and they don't want to deal with like us randomly importing things in from abroad. So there's multiple reasons I went with him. He also felt trustworthy, and he, you know, he's introduced my son. I'm contacting him all the time. We're on site together. And long story short, is what I'm getting to, is it all started going, you could tell there was something going on about a year in where things started to get confusing. Like, he was asking for money for things that were already meant to have been done, or like amounts were changing, or things weren't getting done at all that we paid for. So we started like being a lot more cautious, right, on what was being sent to him and where that money was going and what it was for. And then we started to kind of realize he was asking for money for things that would have been at the end of the project. So for example, the septic is like the last thing that would have been done on the home renovation, yet he had me pay for that like almost at the beginning, and it was a big chunk of money. A few months went by and we really got more like on top of him, and we were like, we're not just gonna give you money for something, you really have to explain more of exactly what it is and the timeline of it. And I could tell he just started to withdraw a bit, because it's almost like we were catching on to him a little bit and like making him like stay on his shit. And so by the end of the summer, we had worked out the numbers and we had spent $178,000 on things that we'd already paid for, if that makes sense. So say like we'd already paid for installation of the windows, and then he charged us a second time for installation of the windows. But he was like, I'm getting onto those things, like I'm gonna take that off the next amount that's due and da 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 da. So he kind of finessed it. So we gave him some more money because there were some big things that needed to get done. He said he was like about to get done on, and that's like what needed to happen for the project to move forward. And I'm sure you were listening to this like, you dumbass, and rightly so. But anyway, gave him more money. In January, completely ghosted us, and it was like 6 weeks where we hadn't heard from him. He wasn't on site. We'd spoken to some of the subcontractors and they like, yeah, we haven't really heard from him. And he started to use the excuse, which is a valid excuse, my mom's sick and she's in Houston, so I have to keep traveling back and forth. Obviously, we're not going to argue if your mom is literally sick and potentially dying, so we were trying to give him grace. He called me and my family on the end of January and admitted that he had used $300,000 on other projects. The $300,000 I was hoping was like there to finish off these jobs had gone. Like, it's not there. And he actually asked us for more money. He asked me for more money, knowing that that money was all I had left. I'd sold the house that we were living in to get that chunk of money to try and finish, well, not even finish the house, get in this house, the renovation, and he used it on other projects and was doing this for probably the last year and like hiding it and just like going along with it. You know, I'm burst out in tears. I'll show you the clip.
So we kind of knew this was coming, but basically our contractor has stolen $250,000 from me. This is my life savings. It's my family's life savings. Obviously, we're renting right now, but if we can't finish this house, we have nowhere to live because everything is in this renovation. I just can't believe someone would use like someone else's money, and then he knows it's my family home that I'm just trying to move it with my family. All that money's just gone. Now we don't have the money to finish it. I have no idea what we're gonna do. It's not even at a point where the house is livable. We don't have insulation. We don't have walls. The floors aren't done. The electric isn't even finished. The plumbing's not finished. The HVAC isn't finished. There's still about like at least the money that has gone. Like, if we had that back, we could probably finish the house and move in. We're obviously gonna get some lawyers. We're gonna get debt collectors. But like, it's crazy that the contractor's just driving around with 2 cars, with his house, with his family. If any of you have had the same experience, please let me know what you did. I just really don't know what to do now.
And my mom is just like, I feel sick, like I want to vomit. Like, I don't know how you could do this to my daughter and her family. And so, yeah, it's really tough right now because I'm paying for a mortgage for this renovation house that, like, right now I can't sell it because I will lose so much money on it because it's literally just a construction site. And we are in a rental because, like I said, I sold the other house. And then I got in touch with the rental company and I was like, hey, so we've had this situation with the renovation and we're gonna need to stay longer in this house because it's not gonna be ready. And they turned around and said to me, yeah, we can do another 12 months, but it's gonna be 25% more. So immediately I Googled, like, what's the like rent legalities in Texas? And there is no law about how much people can change rent. So now I am trying to find somewhere else to live for my family. Philip is so chill that he's like so unbothered, which is really nice. I know he's stressed, but like he doesn't ever project that stressed energy. So it's nice to have someone who's calm, but it's also like, oh my gosh, this is so shit. Right now I'm the one that's the breadwinner and I have to financially deal with everything. So it's a lot. And I feel like no one talks about this stuff, and I hope that if you are going through something similar, just know you're not alone. And I'm really going to try and do my best to share everything that happens. But the goal now is, because we don't know how long the renovation is going to take, it's probably going to take another 2 years. It's already been 2 years. It might even take 3 years. And obviously we're dealing with lawyers and debt collectors to try and get some money off this contractor, who obviously I want to take down. I don't want him to be able to do this to anybody else, but there's like certain protocol, and the fact that now we're trying to find somewhere to live and I'm honestly done with renting. If we move again to another rental in 12 months, they could up the rent again and we could be in the same situation. So now basically I'm trying to save up to have a deposit to buy somewhere and buy somewhere cheaper, but at least if we are in somewhere that we own, no one can hike the rent up on us. And we honestly, a few of my friends think it's because the rental people, the owners, may have Googled me, and maybe they are going through some financial issues themselves and they literally have to sell the house. What we're paying now is like, it's still expensive. So yeah, that is the honest truth about what is going on right now. And I'm just gonna have to tell you and fill you in on everything. I'm going to film some of the houses that we're gonna go look at. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I love you.